Mine's on a hiatus. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, I'll plug it in. Just unplug it. Cord. And he's not looking. He's never.
How we doing? Good. Good to see you all out there today. Happy Veterans Day. How many veterans we got here so far? All right, we'll get a few more in later. So no, that's just the way it works here. And happy Veterans Day to anyone who's watching online. So everybody, the little camera right there, wave hello to the online crowd right here. That one right at the projector. All right, so welcome. I think well, my name's Reverend Michael McMorrow. I'm the spiritual director here at the Center for Spiritual Living. You're in Granada Hills in California, so welcome. We welcome all who practice their beliefs and faith and love, whether on here or online. So let's just take a moment to check in with each other and say good morning.
1, 2, 3.
That mean turn it on? All right. I'm all turned on now. So please help me welcome to the platform our presider this morning, Reverend Elizabeth Schneider. Always fun to have her here. So let's all take a deep, conscious breath as we bring down the lights and come together. Just exhale, releasing any activity, any anxiousness maybe. You got the church, man. Good job. Just allow ourselves to surrender to this eternal now moment as we come together for our call to service, which we call lighting the flames of faith. And we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence which we call Spirit. Fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience which we honor here this morning. So as we light the first candle, it's for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the second candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light the third candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the fourth candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. The fifth candle we light for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. The sixth candle we light for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. The seventh candle we light for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. We light the eighth candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. The ninth candle we light for all forms of new thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. The 10th candle we light for all those who are as yet unaware of the power and presence of Spirit in their lives, and for the space we hold for them here at our center. And as Reverend Elizabeth lights the healing candle, please put silently into the light the names of anyone you wish to have experience the healing flame of God's eternal love.
In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am, letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and I see there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love.
So join me in consciousness this morning as I speak my word in the first person for each and every person here. So I declare right here, right now, there is one mind, one divine mind. I am a center in that divine mind, a point of God conscious life, truth, and action. My affairs are divinely guided into right action, and everything I do, say, or think is stimulated by the truth and power of my unity with that one mind. And I choose to live consciously. I step beyond seeing restrictions and step into that crucible of life to create my own best life, a creative, loving, prosperous, and radiantly healthy life. I detach from old patterns of lack, limitation, apathy, workaholism, negative thinking. I release any negative patterns and reformulate my thinking into manifesting my greatest potential. I heal any limiting memories from the past. I move into an amazing experience of life here and now. And I gratefully receive and give thanks for this opportunity this morning to live consciously and more. And I release my word into the law, knowing it returns to me multiplied abundantly. Together we say, and so it is. So good morning. So a few years ago, I saw this film. I'm always seeing films, Robot and Frank. And it's about an elderly man whose children bought him a robot assistant. And at the time, I thought, gee, I want one. I'm getting older. I do. Wouldn't it be great to have this robot companion to cook meals and drive and help around the house and maybe do fun things with and even engage in conversation? Well, in the film, Frank taught the robot to assist him in his jewelry heist business, so that didn't end well. But, most recently, I enjoyed this British series called Humans, and it's about a society where these humanoid robots called synths, they're just everywhere, and they're filling roles from household help to physical therapists, marriage counselors, medical personnel, and even sex workers. Well, when one character was asked why she isn't pursuing her dream to become a doctor, she says, why should I spend 7 years to learn something that a synth can learn in 7 seconds? So, with synths taking most of the jobs, it's unclear how anyone makes a living. Well, most of these synths are programmed robots, but there's a special group illegally developed to be conscious, sentient beings, and they don't want to work as smiling slaves. So, one plot line revolves around their quest to obtain the code for consciousness. A code. They want to create more synths like themselves. Well, this smacks of that technological singularity we hear about, where intelligent machines become capable of progressively redesigning themselves to build even smarter and more powerful machines, a super intelligence going way beyond our human intelligence and capabilities. So one character says, this is a threat, this could be the end of humanity. Another character says, it's the future of humanity. With scientists working feverishly to develop artificial intelligence, and all you have to do is go out on YouTube to see what robots have already been developed. Well, you see this fictional near future may be closer than we think. There's one scene I liked in this series with Max. He's a deviant synth, and he's been separated from his family, his other group of synths, and he's worried about them. So he kneels and he prays and he says, "Hello, my name is Max. I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters, but I think I may have lost them forever. I don't know if you can hear me. Your existence is unproven and seems extremely unlikely. But if you are there and if you listen to things like me, please help. I don't even have to see them again. Just keep them safe. In return, I will be available to assist you in any way I can, and I will try to believe in you." Well, I like that scene, and it stimulated my thinking about artificial intelligence and robots and religion and spirituality. So in Science of Mind, what do we teach? All beings are expressions of and part of infinite intelligence, spirit, God. God is all there is. God is in us and of us and for us. And in our own soul, it operates through us as our consciousness. So here we go. If the soul is the metaphysical, eternal part of us, imparted by God, can it be programmed? Would robots have souls? If they truly have consciousness, would God operate through them? If robots have consciousness of self-awareness, free will, and decision-making, will they have a relationship with God? Will we welcome them here in our center? or in the churches? Can they be spiritual beings? And in the bigger picture, will we grant them personhood and everything that entails? Well, I of course don't have the answer to that, but there are lively debates on the internet swirling around these issues, and the sins are coming according to scientists, not if, but when, so be prepared. Join the conversation. And so it is.
Good morning, everybody. Nice to see you. Please welcome David and Kat here in the band. All right, I guarantee our next artist is not a robot yet. Yeah. All right, Jerry.
Yeah.
Oh, I threw your cord down there behind the guitar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, then you have to
And
stretch.
thank you very much for letting me borrow it. Yeah.
We're sharing cords.
Yeah, sometimes we have to do that.
So my question is, will robots tithe?
I don't know, but I like the way you think.
Oops, wait a minute. It would help if I had this out.
All right. How you feeling, Jerry?
I don't know. I'm bothered.
It's like you're cleaning house up here.
Yeah. Somebody has to. What? No, I was waiting for that. They're so demanding. I know, they're so demanding. Aren't you?
One, ready?
Yeah, why?
One.
Sure. There's revival and it's spreading like a wildfire in my heart. Sunday morning, hallelujah, and it's lasting all week long. Can you hear it? Can you feel it? It's the rhythm of a gospel song. Once you choose it, you can't lose it. There ain't nothing gonna steal my joy. I got a choir singing in my soul. I got a sweet salvation and it's beautiful. Heart overflowing 'cause I've been restored. There ain't nothing gonna steal my joy. No, there ain't nothing gonna steal my joy. When the valleys that I wander turn to mountains that I can climb, are you with me? Never leave me. There ain't nothing gonna steal my joy. I got an old church choir singing in my soul. I got a sweet salvation and it's beautiful. I've got a heart overflowing 'cause it's been restored. There ain't nothing gonna steal my joy. No, there ain't nothing gonna steal my joy. Up your hands, stomp your feet till you find that gospel beat, 'cause it's all you'll ever need. All you ever need. Up your hands and stomp your feet till you find that gospel beat, 'cause it's all you'll ever need. All you'll ever need. I got an old church choir singing in my soul. I got a sweet salvation and it's beautiful. I got an old church choir singing in my soul. I got a sweet salvation and it's beautiful. Got a heart overflowing 'cause it's been restored. There ain't nothing gonna steal my joy. No, there ain't nothing gonna steal my joy. No, there
So here are the announcements this week. Healing support group at 1 o'clock today. We have daily gratitude mindfulness meditation from 12:30 to 1, Monday through Thursday. Wednesday, 7 p.m., we have healing meditation. Saturday at 9:30, we have Course in Miracles. And then coming soon, we have a spiritual practice with Reverend Mike and Rabbi Ahud Sidah. Tuesday, November 28th, 7 p.m., we have Science of Mind in the Bible. That's an 8-week course. That sounds really interesting. And Tuesday, November 28th, we have Treatment and Meditation, Spiritual Practices for Daily Living. That's a 10-week course. I don't know who's doing that one. Nancy, Reverend Nancy. So we have sign-ups in Sparks Hall, more information. There's the Teen Winter Camp coming up for 2018. They'll be going on January 12th to 15th at Gindling Hilltop Camp in Malibu. So there's a registration in the bulletin, and people need to register by, I don't know, pretty soon, between November 1 and December 12th. 13 to 18-year-olds. Lets me off. Okay. Price $260. Okay, Attitude of Gratitude Challenge. Join us every day of November for the Attitude of Gratitude Challenge. 1 entry per day. Dig deep, no repeats. We're posting daily on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to help inspire you. Acknowledge what you have at least as often as you acknowledge what you want. Well, that sounds interesting. I'm not on Facebook, but it sounds great. Okay, the bookstore has some fabulous things in there. And it's open for business. They have local artists putting up things like there's jewelry, and there are beautiful greeting cards with original photographs, and all kinds of things available for your holiday shopping. So please take a look in there after the service, because Leslie has just done an amazing amount of work to put that together, and it's just wonderful. All right. Oh, here's a personal announcement. Let's see. There was something I wanted to say. Oh, yeah, I'm just going to plug my own blogs, because if anybody's interested in getting copies of my creative thoughts, I put them up on the blog, RebElizWritings, blogspot.com, and I also put up my prayer treatments at RebElizabethSchneider.com. So people sometimes ask me for copies, and there they are. And the other thing is, personal, I'm going to be 80 on December 2nd. And on that day, 80. And I'm very excited about it, but I'm also in a chorale. The San Fernando Valley Chorale is performing that day, December 2 and 3, and you can find that on the web. That's putting them in the search. Anyway, I was just plugging that. But now moving along, we have our Declaration of Principles. So if you'll stand. We believe in one universal spirit, manifesting through all, natural and incarnated in us. We believe the universal spirit is personal to and reveals itself through everyone who recognizes its presence. We believe our faith operates upon a law of mind, which automatically manifests in our experience according to that faith. We believe in the unity of all life and the immortality of the individual soul forever expanding. We believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the givingness of life to all. We'll have our congregation song.
Do is a blessing to the world. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth. And who you are and all you do is a blessing to the heart. We are the hands, we are the voice of Spirit on earth. And who we are and all we do is a blessing to the world. I am the heart, I am the hands, I am the voice of Spirit on earth. And who I am and all I do is a blessing to the world. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of Spirit on earth. And who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world. We are the heart, we are the hands, we are the voice of Spirit on earth. And who we are and all we do is a blessing to the world, is a blessing to the world, is a blessing to the world, is a blessing to the world.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Reverend Elizabeth. Well, I'm not looking forward to that day. I think I'll be long gone by then, though. The synth thing. No. Well, just so long as it's not like Westworld. That's another show that I saw. And actually, you know, they do have a show that explored this idea of consciousness and so forth. It was called Battlestar Galactica several years ago. And it, well, the darker side of that story. So anyway, how we doing? Good. Anybody else depressed that Notre Dame lost yesterday? Yeah, I know. Nobody cares. I know. 8 points. Sounds like the Seahawks. Anyway, how to reverse football adversity or financial adversity. So first of all, let's. Do we have any more veterans who showed up here this morning? If you're a veteran, please stand. Come on, Jerry. Let's love you up here. Okay, there we go. Get it all for yourself. The only one today. You know, that's a good thing when there's not many veterans, I think. That means that maybe we're thinning them out a little bit, right?
The one at my house is an atheist, so that's why he's not here.
All right. Okay. So, well, wherever they are, I have 5 veterans in my family right now, including my dad and brothers and nieces and nephews. No, 6 with him. Anyway, so happy Veterans Day, happy Veterans Day weekend too. So if you get the day off tomorrow, enjoy it. So let's speak to our November theme. All right, so our talk title is How to Reverse Financial Adversity. This should be good, huh? November, peace and prosperity for all. Yeah, we'll see what I have to say about that, right? And then, so here's the value behind all that for this month. For the month of November, CSLs throughout the world are focusing on financial health and prosperity. And specifically that we express order and balance in our finances and experience optimal financial well-being. That's the value we're honoring there. So I would just like to speak to this in a general way, because I always thought when I first came here that it was weird to talk about money in church and financial concerns in church. Um, and in fact, I would even say when I first came to the church, I was taken back a little bit about that because Dr. Maureen did it in such an open way, and on Sunday morning, no less. So I had always thought of money and God as mutually exclusive. Right? So I was raised with an emphasis on biblical passages like man cannot serve both mammon and God, that it's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of the needle than a rich man to get to heaven, that blessed are the meek, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven, and that heaven was some place, up in the sky, and the payoff was when I died. And so from the system that I came from, there really wasn't much emphasis on how to bring the Spirit into my daily life to provide for increase in my life. There was a lot of, there were like masters and servants, and if you didn't increase the master's share, then you got chopped down like a weed and bundled up and thrown into the fire. There was that kind of talk, right? But there really wasn't much, there definitely wasn't any talk about prosperity. There was not any talk about prosperity as a spiritual principle. There was also an admonition in there about looking after each other. So that if a man is cold, give him not a coat, but give him your coat. Right? So the master teacher, Jesus, really, he and the Buddha both really raised the bar in consciousness. They really raised the bar for men in their time. But even still today, that bar is still pretty high. Right? So give him your coat. Feed him from your table. That kind of thing. So it's interesting, and it also is kind of self-serving for churches to speak to prosperity, and today specifically to speak to the practice of tithing as a spiritual practice. Now, I know that for myself, this was not a welcome subject when I was sitting out where you're at, right? And so I'm going to ask you that if you're getting the EBGBs around that, or maybe even a little smoldering resentment, that's a good thing. And so let's sit with that and explore it a little bit, free of self-judgment. Because I'm not interested in collecting any resentful dollars. Right? That does not build a healthy and prosperous spiritual community. Right? I am open and receptive to accepting the energy of money by means of dollars as an act of free will and commitment to wanting to support spiritual community, and specifically this one, because I know that this place changes lives. I know it has. But I know that it has because I've stuck around in a committed way Sunday after Sunday, month after month, year after year to see it demonstrate. So, at the same time, I also understand that, as Bill W., another metaphysician, once said, obviously you cannot give away something you haven't got. So, this science of mind teaching makes some pretty bold claims about life. And in fact, if you look at the inside jacket of your program, you'll see we believe in one universal spirit manifesting through all, that it's out there and in us, that we believe the universal spirit is personal to each one of us, and reveals itself through everyone who recognizes it, that we believe our faith operates upon a law of mind. What the heck is that? Which automatically manifests in our experience according to that faith. That we believe in the unity of all life and the immortality of the individual soul forever expanding. Well, that's in alignment with many spiritual systems. That we believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the givingness of life to all. That's also in alignment with many spiritual systems. Not too crazy an idea there. We also make a pretty bold claim when we say that we believe in the power of our thought over to control the conditions of life. This is a principle that we teach. The power over conditions of life, and that the idea also that everything in this manifest world is an activity of consciousness. So, we express order and balance in our finances and experience optimal financial well-being, and that through the richness of our teaching and its application, we value the principle of abundance and its expression as prosperity as a means to provide resources, right? So that we can support our life, to provide resources to empower who? Ourselves and just me? Like a bunch of little gimme jimmies? No. Right? Gimme, 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 gimme. No. Right? To lift ourselves and others. So, we cannot give away something we haven't got. So, the teaching of the science of mind and spirit really is the great bait and switch game, in case you didn't know that. So, we come here and we teach you the power of thought over conditions by using the power of our thought coupled with the infinite power and presence of the divine, right? And that it's limited only by our thinking, and we get in here and we start slugging out all that old thinking. Right? We start reworking our stuff. We start reframing our structure of knowing our life. We start practicing. We incorporate spiritual practice into our life. We create some stillness through meditation to allow the divine to whisper its guidance. That might be a bad idea. Sometimes that's the way it comes through. Right? But the mind is too busy to hear that. And instead we use the teaching to go, oh, look, God sent me a 0% credit card in the mail. I'm prosperous. You laugh, but people do it. I'll just move all my balances over to here, right? 0 interest, and then a year later, they have one more credit card at 22%. So that's stewardship or lack of, which is also prosperity consciousness. We express order and balance in our finances. This would not be one of those practices. We express order and balance in our finances and experience optimal financial well-being through the richness of our teaching and its application. The richness of our teaching and its application, we have to do it. We value the principle of abundance and expression as prosperity as a means to provide resources to empower both our personal and collective vision. So we together can do anything. Right? Actually, you know what? That is really the promise of America when you think about it. So you can do anything in this country, but you're not doing it on your own. You're not doing it on your own. I mean, yeah, you might have a business and you have an idea and you can build it and so forth. But there's this whole infrastructure that allows it. It's the field that we're playing in. Church community is really the same thing. That there's this general field that we create here with our good, right? So that we then can have an experience of the divine by means of the field that we've created here. So if we're talking about consciousness, so how about this one? We have called each one of us, like in this moment right now, look around. You have called by divine appointment every person who's in this room right now. Whoa. Called them forth. You have called your children forth. Your parents called you forth. To have the experience of life that you are having right now. And we can change it. I think that's a pretty whoa kind of idea. So, but the idea of practicing these principles I think we have to kind of reverse the order that they presented them in. So I would say that the method then is through the richness of our teaching and its application. That's how we are going to experience this idea of optimal life in our finances, through the richness of our teaching and its application. Second, what do we value? We value the principle of abundance and its expression as prosperity. These values relating to what? As a means to provide resources to empower our personal and collective vision. And then the end result is, when we practice these things, the end result is that we express order and balance in our finances and experience optimal financial well-being. So, through the richness of our teaching and its application, there's one power. This power expresses it as thought. Our thinking creates our reality from our deepest held beliefs. We control the conditions of life through the power of thought. So considering the mindset I came in here with this thought of limitation and God and man being separate through this thing called the idea of money and prosperity, and that it's not spiritual to think about money or to pray for our financial good. Right? What if that's an old idea? And what if it's not even accurate? And if you look more deeply into the teachings of Jesus, because he spoke to this more than the Buddha did, then we find that he did, in fact, address these issues. But we've been so caught up in the CYA aspect of that particular system to make sure we can get into the cosmic clubhouse when the whole deal's done. And this is a huge distraction. And I don't think it serves its membership or the world. Instead, what if we knew? What if we knew that as the master teacher said, greater things shall ye do? And how did he do that? He recognized there's only one thing. There's only me and the Father. He recognized the authority of his word. Right? He recognized that it was the power of the Father within that was doing the work, and then the demonstration, right? The way that these so-called miracles showed up were the demonstration of that faith, and more than faith, but a sense of knowingness. And so in this way, then, this particular teacher, Jesus, then, becomes the great example rather than the great exception. Right? And I think this is really the power within, the true power that lies within the Christian message is to understand and know that there's only one power expressing as the Holy Spirit throughout all of it. Right? And that we can work with that. So yes, there's the power of mind. So it's the science of mind. Yes. But it's the science of mind and spirit is the name of the teaching. So the power of our thought coupled with what? The infinite power. Infinite power. That's a lot. Right? Infinite is more than me. In fact, infinite's more than just us. Infinite is unlimited. So, I'm not even going to bother with these because I'm so far off my notes now it doesn't matter. So last week we were talking about money as energy, right? Money as thought. Money as energy. And that as we are reflections of the divine in the way that God thinks, that we are a reflection of the divine in some way, that we are thinking in a similar fashion, that we are demonstrating the Creator in this fashion. So I encourage us to contemplate the idea of money as thought form, the idea that we are thinking beings, and what influence can we bring to bear on the subject of our finances with focused thinking coupled with, and this is the most important part, coupled with infinite power. That infinite or omnipotent power that has within it all the intelligence, creativity, omniscience, it knows everything, omnipresence, everywhere present, and omniactive, that it's always active, impressing itself into every aspect of this manifest world in the ways that we can see and experience, and in the ways that we don't see and experience. So, the work begins by first knowing that we are one with the Creator, and that in that oneness, understanding that the oneness means that I am that too. Right? And not in a, I'm a God, let me turn this gizmo into a bird. Because, of course, as Ernest Holmes said, of course we cannot be all that God is. But we are certainly a reflection of the divine, in the same way that a drop of seawater has within it all the aspects of what the vast ocean is. We are that. That the Spirit is so satisfied with its creation that it's set in motion through free will, the agency of its creation to come to itself, and realize its relationship with the Godhead as a reflection of its mind. So will the sense become, if they become conscious, they certainly will become conscious of being conscious, and may in fact come to know the infinite power of the divine by means of itself, which is basically what we did. It may not look like that. And it doesn't take anything away from the greatness of the Spirit to recognize that. I don't think. It's still God, the Alpha and the Omega. It still existed whether we recognized it or not. It's just we had the aha moment where we connected the dots. And so now it's time to take it away from deity, the parental, to the Spirit. And to recognize that if we are made in the image and likeness of the divine, then we in some way are a reflection of it at every level of existence. And to be everywhere present, it's got to be some multi-dimensional gig. It can't just be 3 dimensions, right? So we call it Holy Spirit. Scientists might call it quantum field. So we talked about that a little bit last week. So in this way, we create in this human experience using the same method that God created you. That God so loved itself that it created you in its image and likeness, that it might experience more of its creation by means of the creature. Now that's a pretty cool thing. So then these things like, lust and all these other things that, drunkenness, want and worry and fear and all these other things, these are just the distractions of this human realm that keep us from fully experiencing that. Now, humans are interesting animals because we really don't, it's really hard for us, I think, to take things purely on faith. That most of us have Missouri consciousness, that I'll believe it when I see it. And yet we are in this teaching that says when you believe it, you'll see it. When you believe it, you'll see it. Now, just because it's blind faith? No. Because intellectually we understand that we're working with universal laws of the universe that are responding to our thought right now, limited only by the limitation of our own thinking. So, when we look at the way that our life is demonstrating, how can we prove any of this stuff? Well, one of them is by playing. So how do you prove the law of circulation? There's really only one way, and that's to participate in it. So we talk about as a spiritual principle, and this is very self-serving for churches, by the way. I'm the first to admit that. we talk about the practice of tithing. Okay? Another way of saying that, and so how do we check in with that to see if we do that? Well, we can simply ask ourselves, do we live off the 90%? Do I live off the 90% of life? Rather than am I tithing 10%? That's really the question. How am I experiencing restriction in my life? Right? Do I live on the 90%? How much is going out in interest versus saving? How much is going out in interest versus charitable giving? Am I living on the 90%, which is the concept of tithing, or am I living on 102 or 3%, which is that's what credit card debt is, if you think about it. So one of the first things that we do in these prosperity classes is add up all the interest that we're paying out every year. And if you still haven't closed the garage with the motor running after that realization, right? You come, like the prodigal of old, we come to ourself and recognize there's another way to live. Right? So there's this stewardship. Stewardship is a big part of prosperity consciousness. So, the question then, I guess, does this make you a poor religious scientist if you don't tithe? And I would love to say yes, but it's not so. Right? You are not a poor religious scientist if you don't tithe. To that, I guess it would be more honest to say, to this question, are you a poor religious scientist if you don't tithe? I would say no, but. And so here's the but. I would say no, but you are not as prosperous as you could be with this act of faith. And the only way that I know this is I proved it to myself. And I'm not Einstein. I'm a simple guy looking for practical things, and that's how I proved it. So do I have to give 10% to participate in the law of circulation? That's a gold standard. But if that's not where you're at, just start where you're at. Right? Give something in a committed way, in a conscious way. Prove it to yourself, but prove it by stretching. Right? So I was a resentful $10 a week giver for years. And then I came to this place, and then I thought, well, I'll stretch. And I started giving $20 a week. Right? Well, now I know, believe it or not, it doesn't really matter what church you're in. It's about $40 a week per person to run a church properly, where the minister's paid, the mortgage is paid, there's money for programs, so music programs, so forth. But I wasn't ready to do that one. $40 a week? Are you kidding me? Right? But there did come a day when I did hear that what I was putting in the offering basket was evidence of my conviction that God is the source and substance of my supply. So I looked, and I had a strategy. I think I've told you guys this before. I had a strategy. I would stop by the 7-Eleven, and I would break a 20, right, so that I would have $10 to put in the basket, right? And then one week I heard this, and I reached in my pocket, and all I had was $40. I was like, man. And then I heard that saying, and I thought, so I threw the 2 20s in the basket because I was making $1,000 a week. Is that a tithe? No. So then I took a prosperity class and I experimented with it. Now, my son was in college, but a lot of my things were gone. Right? I had no debt. I paid off my debt. So I was practicing good stewardship, and so I was able to participate. But what happened for me is that I did, in fact, generate more increase in that area. And I would say in all areas, right? So it wasn't just about my pocketbook, but my relationships became better. My creativity opened up more. My, well, just all of life. You know, I just really felt like I was all in life. So I'm just going to close by saying this, that, you know, if you think about that, stepping it back, so I had a level that I was giving at, and then I stretched, okay? And then I found I could do that. And then I went to another class, and then I actually wrote a check for $100 bleeding for a Sunday, and I did it for, I think it was 12 weeks. $1,200, right? And you know what? I saw the increase coming up in my business and so forth. But, you know, I also had a sense of, hey, you know what? I can do this. So, my life changed because I changed. How does that sound familiar? So, for you, this is what I would say. If this is not where you're at, and I know that at least a third of us here this morning are committed tithers. And so, it doesn't matter, right? We tithe because we know. But for those of you who haven't been playing around with this, that I would just say this. Start with giving something in a committed way on a weekly basis, no matter what. And if you're experiencing struggle financially, you know, it does count to suit up and show up and have your butt in the seat. That's a tithe too when you don't have any money, because you are supporting others in consciousness. Don't let the money thing keep you out of here. In fact, don't let health challenges keep you out of here. Don't keep life challenges of any kind keep you out of your spiritual community. But when it comes to the financial thing, find a thing, stretch, but it's not magic. Don't give. You're going, hey, I'm gonna give $100 to the church today because I need $1,000 to make the rent and I'm $400 short. Do not do that. That is not good. That is not consciousness. That is superstition. Don't do that. Because I want you to get healthier in your finances. So we don't need those dollars. We don't need resentful dollars. We need dollars that are presented that are happy, joyous, and free, and the fruits of your labors being offered just in the days of old to that altar on high, to where you're spiritually fed. And hopefully that's this place, or at least most of it. Now, the Boy Scouts could use a few of your dollars too. All right, so I'm way over. Let's call the band up. And so that's our tithing talk. So you won't get another one for 4 or 5 months. So isn't that good? So be grateful for that. So let's take a deep, conscious breath. What are we grateful for today? You know, we're focusing on veterans through this holiday. We are certainly grateful for their commitment to serve. And yet there are ways that we civilians can serve the law of life by suiting up and showing up and being all we can be within our own little corner of the world. We don't need to be spiritual warriors. We're not fighting anyone or anything. But we are accepting the mantle of that teacher from long ago who said, blessed be the peacemakers. And so we allow ourselves to consider today the way that we can be that within our own mind, a peacemaker within our own mind, peacemaker within our own heart, a peacemaker within our own marriages and relationships, in our office, in our businesses, in our spiritual community. Right? Start our practice there. And I guarantee you that change we're all longing for will demonstrate fully and completely, and we'll see it demonstrating in uncommon hours. And so it is.
Quaked before, moved by the sound of his voice, seas that are shaken and stirred can be calmed and broken for my regard. Through it all, my eyes are on you. Through it all, it is well. Through it all, my eyes are on you. It is well with me. Be it from me to not believe, even when my eyes can't see. And this mountain here in front of me will be thrown into the midst of the sea. Through it all, my eyes are on you. Through it all, it is well. Through it all, my eyes are on you, and it is well. It is well. So let go, my soul, and trust in Him. The waves and wind still know His name. So let go, and my soul, and trust in Him. The waves and wind still know His name. So let go, my soul, and trust in Him. The waves and wind still know His name. The wind and waves still know His name. All is well with my soul. All the sound of his voice, and know that it is well. Namaste.
All right. Let's give Jerry another hand, shall we? Thank you. Thank you, Jerry.
I'm trying to get him to hand out scarves as he walks.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll start
Next-
small, Jerry. Yeah.
next time. So I was just thinking, as a minister and all that, I was with this idea of giving consciousness and supporting church giving and all that. I should have given like a 5-minute talk so that you could get a sense of gratitude rather than going 30 minutes. All right, already. Here, write a check. Just sit down. All right, so as we go within, preparing our gifts for the offering, Ken will take us into our offering song.
Spirit gives through me, Spirit receives through me, Spirit lives and breathes through me. Spirit lives and breathes through me. Spirit gives through me, Spirit receives through me, Spirit lives and breathes through me. Spirit lives and breathes through me. Spirit gives through me, Spirit receives through me, Spirit lives and breathes through me. Oh, Spirit lives and breathes through me.
Very nice. Thank you. So just going within just for a moment longer, recognizing and knowing that the gifts presented here this morning are a demonstration of consciousness that knows and knows that it knows that God is our source, our substance, our supply. So from the generous heart of the individual from which these gifts have been offered here this morning, we, representing the heart of this community, accept these gifts with deep appreciation, love, and respect, knowing they go forth to heal, to prosper, and to bless. Each person here this morning, any person connected to this center in any way, that we extend this blessing and this knowing to our friends here in this community of Granada Hills, our city of Los Angeles, our state of California, all of its churches, temples, mosques, schools, universities, the people who attend them, the people who support them, for our planet as well, that we know that all of it is a demonstration of the consciousness of the divine itself. And to the extent that we know this to be so, we see it demonstrating in all ways, great and small, right now. We are grateful. And together we acknowledge this by saying, and so it is. So please help me thank lovely Rita and Miss Chloe for being of service today. Anybody coming in? Guess not. It's dark back there. All right, so let's thank the band one more time. Thank Jerry one more time. Thank Reverend Elizabeth and get her up here to pray us out. And you can join Steve Amsden and me on Tuesday nights, the Tuesday after Thanksgiving, and we'll get into the Bible as metaphor. That would be an interesting class. That's my plug, Rev. All right, pray us out.
So join me in consciousness, please, as I speak my word in the first person for each and every person here this morning. So I declare right here, right now, I understand and know there is one power, one infinite power, one unlimited power operating in and through everything and everyone. And I am a reflection of that power of the divine. And right here, right now, I express order and balance in my finances and experience optimal financial well-being. I value the principle of abundance and its expression as prosperity, as a means to provide resources to empower my personal and collective vision. I am open and receptive to receiving abundance from the universe, and I am willing to give of my resources to those in need. I am a good steward of my financial resources, and I acknowledge the role of Spirit providing divine guidance, support, direction, and inspiration in all that I am, all that I do, all that I experience here on this plane of consciousness. And I value the richness of this teaching, Science of Mind, and its application in this world. And I gratefully receive and give thanks for this center, for Reverend Mike, for the wonderful musicians, the great bookstore back there, and more. And I release my word into the law of mind, knowing it returns to me multiplied abundantly. Together we say, so it is.
Please stand for the peace song. Vice versa.